Thank you for staying with Daybreak. The conversation begins right now. We are calling it State of the Nation, where we talk about matters, politics, and everything in between. We'd like to hear your views on all the topics that we're going to touch on at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. Dr. Isaac Kalua is here. Isaac Kalua Green, party leader, GTAP. Thank you so much for making time. Kevin Osido is also here, Executive Director, County Governance Watch. Asante sana for making time. And Willis Otieno, Advocate of the High Court. Asante sana for making time. So let's start off with the dailies. The Daily Nation front page, you see raised to the wire, but mostly elite club of usual faces and new kids on the block. In nominations to parliament, that's a lower part of the Daily Nation. Their parties reward loyalists with slots. And Dr. Kalua, I'd like you to start us off on this one because you're a party leader. Is this about rewarding loyalists or about merit? How does this work exactly?
It's about building the party. It's about extending what the virtues of the party are. In most cases, the people who are active in this entire process are found to be the team members who are loyal to the institution, and therefore it's a thin line sometimes that you may imagine it is about loyalists. There is what one has committed themselves to, and therefore it's a thin line between loyalists and rewarding individuals. It's about believing in the party and moving forward, because every party wants to be present and articulate issues concerning their members going forward. So I think give it to them for what it is. And again, it depends on the values of the institutions. We had a criteria ourselves in our party on who is supposed to be picked and for what reason, if ever we get sufficient members for that process. So it depends. It's about values of the institution, what you stand for, and what you really want to achieve going forward after the 5 years. You don't want a party to die immediately after elections. Unfortunately, most of them do.
Yeah. Kevin, when you see this list, what comes to your mind? Because some of the people here are either the kings to the high and mighty. Some of them were told to go slow on what they wanted to vie for. Is this what nominations should really look like? Or does it have to, do we need to raise the caliber slightly more than this?
Trevor, we honestly need to raise the caliber, not just slightly more, but in a much more broader sense, to respond to the aspirations of not just the political parties, but indeed the interests of the citizens, which I don't think is what our political parties, even today, focus on. And so if you look at the list, you are seeing loyalists, you are seeing kings of big politicians in this country. You are seeing people who from traditional political party processes and party building have of course played very fundamental roles and done a little bit more to be able to espouse the interests of the political parties. But you see, political parties are supposed to be able to respond to the context of the environments within which they operate in. So that if you say, for instance, that you are looking at women, what kind of women are you looking at? When you say you are looking at youth, what kind of youth are you looking at? And how does that youth respond to the needs of the youth in the country for whose interests the party is supposed to lead, to, of course, respond to. And so, as you rightfully said, I believe that most of these political parties have tended to respond to not just their own aspirations in terms of meeting the needs of the people, but as you said, some people are asked to, slow down, we'll appoint you. Even today, as rallies continue to go on, we hear people saying, you swallow your gubernatorial bid, we'll give you a CS position. And it's purely based on interests, Trevor. So I don't think I don't think parties are keen to look at how they respond to the needs of the wider social framework of a nation like Kenya.
Yeah. Willis, are you seeing the interests of the citizens captured in any of the faces you're seeing here?
In fact, the reference point should be the Constitution. Look specifically at Article 97 of the Constitution, which sets out what these nominations are meant to achieve. It is meant to achieve representation of special interests, and they are specified, including farmers, youth, women, workers, persons with disabilities. Now, if you look at just, for example, let's pick the list of the National Assembly. You're not going to say which of these nominees is representing these specialized groups that are mentioned in the Constitution. look at the list for the, at least the list for the Senate is clear, it's largely gender, and the ones for person with disabilities is specified. So what I see in the list that political parties are doing, they are not making nominations to meet the constitutional threshold. So you'll find, for example, John Mbadi may end up becoming a farmer for purposes of these nominations. But is he really a farmer in the sense of that farmers are now represented in this election? Christina may end up now appearing, for example, as a worker. But what was the spirit of having these persons being specifically mentioned? Because we recognize at the time of making the Constitution, there are certain special interests that you want to give them a voice and a platform at the representative level to come and speak to those issues that are peculiar to that specialized group that is mentioned in the Constitution. But what we end up doing now is that we are rewarding political loyalists, so that we are paying more premium to the politician getting a reward than representing the special interest that we had sought to have represented in the National Assembly of the Senate. And this, in a way, ends up elevating the political party more than the common rubric of the society that is to be represented by these special interests. So if we go, for example, like the last nominations, ODM picked Wilson Sossion. That is specifically because Wilson Sossion could fill that gap of I'm representing workers based on his background as a trade unionist. Now, when you pick other persons that I can see in the list, for example, Kabes Secretary General, which is the special interest group that is going to represent, is purely long service to the political party. Maybe reward, time for reward has come. Let's put you in the list. You get to earn a salary. That's why you see when you make laws, we are not paying particular attention to some of these special interests when it comes. For the other political parties, the smaller political parties, let me call them that, you will not notice much of this, because this is where you can talk about people who have spent time to build or to invest in the political party. So they've not been in the political space, I mean in the public space, courtesy of their political parties before. So that may pass. But for the big political parties, there's nothing that, for example, any of these lists in the first page, all who've been in politics and in parliament the longest, there's nothing peculiar that you've ever heard them even say in respect to the special interests mentioned in the Constitution when they served before.
Yes.
Dr.
Kalua, you're a party leader. What is so difficult with adhering to Article 97? Or is it that people interpret it in their own way?
Not just a matter of interpretation, Trevor. I think the challenge is even deeper, because which political party do you belong to? Let's start there. Most Kenyans find themselves being members of a party that they did not ascribe to. They had no details that they were a member of that party. So the party membership and ownership, I think at that level it needs to be dealt. Which, am I in a political party of my choice? Did I choose to be in that party? What were the values of the party? And that is what would lead to what my good brother would call smaller parties and big parties, because all parties are registered in the same, they have a similar standard that they have to ascribe to, and big or small is not just about the numbers, it's about the values. When you speak about the Green Thinking Action Party, every member of the party has been put through a process that no other political party has put them in terms of integrity, that they are recommended by a church institution, an association from the community, something that was beyond else. So anyone who is picked from that party has got some values that is beyond else. So if you can never refer that to a smaller party just because of the numbers that are following, is more of the values that we have. And we need to go to value-driven political parties, issues-based political parties, because that is what will define who is therefore following Article 97 in terms of being picked for what they are supposed to be. Kenyans must be represented. The only way to be represented is through the political parties. But are they really representatives? Is it not just the usual suspects that you will find here just because they went around, they spend money, their property is almost being auctioned, and therefore they must be rewarded because they spend a lot of money in politics? I think going forward, we need to be able to get Kenyans between now and the time that we get to another election, to join a political party of their choice, understand the values of the institution, and therefore the rest will follow. Because failure of having that, Trevor, to be just the same story.
But
A reward story and a situation that you're just giving this because it's my buddy.
Kevin, how can this be sorted out? Because there are three issues here. There's loyalty, there's representation, and then there's servitude, whereby you are told to stand down. If your party leader tells you to stand down, we will give you something. At the end of it all, you're expecting that something. And if you go against it, then sometimes you can even lose. How then do you bridge the gap and ensure that it's about the people who are supposed to be served and not the individuals who are being rewarded?
Trevor, and beyond that, beyond the three that you've mentioned, loyalty, representation, and servitude, there is also the financial aspect of political party and party building. And so the people who give in more in terms of financial resources stand a better chance and opportunity of being nominated than someone who just comes and speaks nicely about political party, manifestos and all that. And then the second thing that we need to do is to look at political parties beyond the election. In Kenya, we concentrate a lot in political parties a few days, maybe 100 days or 2 months or 6 months to an election. But after, say, for instance, in September 9th, 2022, we'll be asking ourselves the question, which party do you belong to? And most people, in fact, we might not even be able to tell you. Most of these other institutions that Willis calls small parties will have collapsed because they are formed based on an opportunity and a platform to negotiate ahead of the election. So if you go to some of these parties and ask them in, say, October 10th, what exactly did your manifesto say? Or what exactly are you doing to be able to build the interest of Kenyans and have as many people register in your party? They might not be able to tell you because our political parties are purely built and centered on the next election, not necessarily on the next generation. So people focus on who is the party leader. Is he or she becoming president or a deputy president or whatever, a governor or cabinet secretary? And so beyond just looking at being a loyal member or a loyalist in a political party, how, of course, you become a servant to that political party, we have to move further and look at what is the foundational framework and why do political parties even exist. Look at Parliament, for example, Trevor, National Assembly and the Senate. A political party that is supposed to be in the opposition, there is a clear constitutional mechanism and a threshold for why you are in the opposition. You ran and you became a second runners-up and you did not get what you are looking for. And so there is a government and you are in the opposition. How come it's very difficult for us to be able to have as many of those who are supposed to help build the opposition so that the interests of people who feel that the government is not doing certain things the right way are also given the space to make their voices count? And it's purely based on, again, how our parties are done, negotiated democracy, that one party can be able to sit with another and say, we know that your party leader has a bigger number of voters, so why don't you join us? And then we bring in our people, and so has a lot of money. We can buy as many number of choppers to traverse the country. Then we win the election. But beyond winning that particular election, why is that political party in existence? That's a question that I think it will take us a few more years, Trevor, and a number of other elections to respond to.
Okay. Willis, I want us to move on to the next topic, but you've been in the rigors of this all also. Yes. How then do political parties balance it between the people who are told to stand down and now giving the nominations to people who deserve the nomination?
The main thing that you see political parties play more attention to political interests, and that ends up actually undermining the political party. Because in the long run, that's why you, as much as Mr. Kalua says that you must try to balance, the challenge that you face is that you end up rewarding people who feel that they feel entitled to these positions by virtue of having been in the political party. You are not bringing a new cadre of the political party from the specialized groups that are mentioned in the Constitution. So progressively, when these people feel entitled are the ones who always get these positions being nominated, it ends up undermining that political party because there is no new blood, no new group that feels that we have accommodation in this political party. But if you add up space where you are recruiting, the political party goes out to recruit actively and shows these specialized groups how they can always rise and be given opportunities to serve in this position in the political party, then that will be something that even makes them to want to participate in the party. But if it is seen as this is just a boys' club that is closed, only those of us who are in the inner circle are considered for these positions, then you see people shunning away from engaging the political parties.
All right. I have to take a quick break. When you come back, there's still quite a number of issues you need to talk about. The IBCs on the spot here. Raila demanding meeting with IBC over parallel result forms. And we see President is rooting for peacemaker Raila in elections in Nakuru. We'll talk about those two in just a bit when we return from the break. Keep your views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. All right. See you shortly.